Hi boys and girls, welcome to your video on transversals. You're going to need two things out. You are going to need some crayons because we are going to be color coding our graphic organizer. And you will also need your graphic organizer. Alright, so if you need to grab those things, go do that now and you can pause the video. Okay, let's first talk about what a transversal is. So a transversal is a line that cuts two parallel lines. So two parallel lines are lines that never intersect or never meet, and a transversal cuts those lines. So you often see this kind of format. Streets might be laid out very similarly to this. So the transversal cuts the two parallel lines. So because these lines are parallel, there's a lot of different kinds of angles that are formed from it. The first thing that I want to focus on, again, are the parallel lines. So both J and K are parallel. And then L is our transversal. So again, a transversal cuts two parallel lines. So the first term that we're going to talk about are corresponding angles. And corresponding means matching. So the corresponding angles are the ones at the same location as each intersection. So for example, if I look at 1, 2, 3, and 4, the corresponding angle to 1 is 5. Because 1 is located at the same intersection of 5. So 1 and 5 are corresponding, therefore they have the same measure. Angle 2 and angle 6 are corresponding because they're at the same location of each intersection. Angle 3 and angle 7 are corresponding. And angle 4 and angle 8 are corresponding. So it's almost as if I were to slide this intersection on top here. 1 and 5 would match up. 2 and 6, 3 and 7, 4 and 8. So let's go to your graphic organizer. Now, if these have not printed out, in color, or it's difficult for you to see color, I will label these for you. So the first color you're going to need is red. So corresponding angles are angles that are in the same location and have the same measure. So an example of a corresponding angle would be 1 and 5. Another example would be 2 and 6. So we can write 1 and 5, 2 and 6. Okay, the next type of angle that we're going to look at are what's called interior angles. Interior means inside the parallel lines. We often hear something as simple as interior designing. Those are professionals that design the inside of homes. So all of your interior angles are the angles in between the parallel lines. So 4, 3, 5, and 6 are in between the parallel lines. So we're going to come back to vertical angles in a second. So interior angles, let's highlight them. We're going to highlight them in yellow. So our interior angles is 3, 4, whoops. You can list them here. 3, 4, 5, and 6. whereas our exterior angles are 1, 2, 7, and 8 because they are outside the parallel lines. And we're just going to write them in. 1, 2, 7, and 8. Going back to the video, what am I talking about? The PowerPoint. So here, again, visually, our exterior angles are the angles outside of the parallel lines. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about before we get to some of the angle measures are vertical angles. And vertical angles are angles that are opposite of each other, and they also have the same measure. So I'm going to use orange. So you're going to need an orange crayon. You might want to label this as orange if it didn't print out in color. So an example of vertical angles would be 7 and 6 because they are opposite of each other along the parallel line. Another example would be 5 and 8 because they are opposite or kind of diagonal from each other. Another example could be 4 and 1 because they are opposite of each other along the parallel line. So our example of vertical angles would be 1 and 4, 7 and 6, or 6 and 7. As long as you have a few examples here, that should be an and sign. As long as you have a few examples, you can infer from here. Now, one last thing I just want to introduce you to. Knowing corresponding angles can help you to find angle measures. So, for example, let's say the measure of angle 1 is 60 degrees. The corresponding angle of 1 is 5. So that means 5 is also 60 degrees. Because they are corresponding, they have the same measure. So if angle 1 is 60, this entire angle is 180 because it forms a straight line. So therefore, angle 2 is 120 degrees. Because 120 plus 60 equals 180. The corresponding angle of 2 is 6. So that means 6 is also 120 degrees. In the next video, we are going to be talking about some other terms, such as same side interior, same side exterior, alternate interior, and alternate exterior. But what I really want you to get from this video is understand that these are your interior angles, these are your exterior angles, and that corresponding angles all have the same measure. So 1 and 5 are corresponding, 2 and 6 are corresponding, 3 and 7 are corresponding, and 4 and 8 are also corresponding. And again, going back to your graphic organizer, vertical angles, such as 2 and 3, are diagonal from each other, and they also have the same measure. 1 and 4 are diagonal from each other. They also have the same measure. 6 and 7 have the same measure, as well as 5 and 8. Okay, this concludes your video. I know there's a lot of coloring, there's a lot of symbols, there's a lot of lines. But from here, we'll really reinforce it through some dance moves, just you wait, and a lot of hands-on activities to help you understand the different locations of these points. All right, I hope you don't miss me too much, even though I know that you do, and I will see you tomorrow. Be good rest of the day.